Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
How are
How are
you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
It's so just gushing. It is so gorgeous in Vancouver today. I hope it's nice for you in Vernon.
You know what? It's fairly nice. Every time you're going to ask me this question throughout the fall and winter, I'm probably never going to say, yeah, it's beautiful. Because like I said, I am not a fall winter person, but
Right.
I'm trying. Okay, so wait. Okay, I'll answer your question in a positive manner.
How are you doing today, and how is Vernon in this?
Okay, Vernon is, and I just spat across the table here.
It's fine. There's no four dimension. We're good.
Yeah, and I don't have to wear a mask because I'm at home. There's some blue sky. Okay, so there's some clouds, but there's some blue sky. So there's the positive. There's some blue. It's not raining. That's great for me because I don't like the rain.
Right.
But it's really cold. It's starting to get cold. It's starting to get cold.
I bet.
The air is fresh. And you know what? We don't have smoke. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm still on a high right now from what just happened a few moments ago. And I'm just going to gush about it a little bit here before our guest comes on. But I posted something today on our Instagram page, which is getting_juicy, like a Jew, JEWCY. And I posted something about purchasing my very first pod swag. So I think that this is a Mark Maron exclusive word that they've made up, perhaps, because I tried to hashtag it and I couldn't quite find the hashtag. Maybe I'm just maybe that's just me. But anyway, I purchased my very first piece of merchandise from a podcast. And my favorite podcast of all time is WTF, or AKA What the Fuck with Mark Maron. Also a Jew ish. He's one of the original podcasters. Like, he's had his podcast for, I think, at least a decade.
Okay.
So has tons of episodes. But anyway, what happened was that they posted and I mentioned him, and then I get this message saying from Mark Maron. I was like, what the fuck is this? There's a what? No, what? So then I click on it and it says, Mark Maron has shared your story. And I literally freaked out. I ran outside to my husband who's in the backyard. I just, oh my God, he saw it. He knows who we are.
Yeah, right? It's so fantastic to get that validation. So thank you, Mark.
I know that's it sounds so silly in a way to be starstruck, but you know what? There are some people that I kind of am, and I kind of think it's sexy too for an older man. Like,
he's a very good-looking older Jewish man.
Or like facial hair, but
yes, maybe some of that beard.
Exactly, I'm looking forward to wearing his stash on my boobs.
Yeah, right, Mark. Way to give the motorboat. No big deal every single day. Loving that.
So, anyway, that's my news for today. It might be my news for the next few days. I'm still a little jittery about that. I haven't had coffee for a number of hours, but that's why I'm a little jittery for some reason.
Let the jitters flow, my queen.
Just had to share that for everybody. And then of course I went ahead and I wrote him a message and said that I probably said that he's my Jewish crush. Pretty sure I said that. Something like that. I think
you did say that.
Yeah,
I think you did say that. Yeah.
I did. And then I said, in the future, if we ever get to have you grace our presence, grace us with your presence. See, I can't think straight.
She is totally verklempt, y'all. Rachel Rosen, the Rosicado, is verklempt.
Another thing is, after that message, we got to start talking about our guest, of course. She's on in a second. But I saw that he read that message, so he saw it. So there you go. There you go, folks.
Oh, he read it?
Yeah.
He read it? Oh my gosh.
So I don't know. That means nothing, really. It just means...
But you know what? Before we talk about our guests, I mean, like, we were trying to reach out to people in our community that are in Canada or abroad. Yes. So I thought of some other people that made an impact in my life in whatever way, right? And so two people that did get back to me. That's what it's all about. Yeah, and two of those people that commented, who cares if they know who we are, but that commented, that acknowledged that we had wrote something that I did on our account. Jeannie Becker from Toronto.
Yes, that's
Queen
right.
maven of the fashion industry of fashion
It's almost
television.
3 o'clock hero, sorry.
I'm aware of that.
Okay, good. I know you are. I know you are.
Yeah, and then
Our
also
lovely guest
Patty,
is popping on
and then
screen.
also and then also Patty Stanger from the Millionaire Matchmaker TV show, which is now not
Really?
in production. She commented on my comment from our page, so I thought that was super sweet.
That is really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd love to talk about our guest before she pops on.
Yes, please.
So her name is Nadya Pecherskaya, but tends come to Nadya Pesh is how she usually goes by. I met Nadya a few years ago when she was new to the city, and she created the Entrepreneurs of Health and Fitness of Vancouver, or EHF.
Oh, and that was doing some research, and I didn't see that. So that was her claim to fame, I guess.
That's where she got her. Yeah, and she's got a background as a holistic nutritionist, which is super awesome. And now she's passed that on to another lovely woman who is part of EHF, who I'd love to have on the show sometime, Ariana Fotanakis. And so Ariana took over EHF. Yeah. And then Nadya, what we're going to talk to her about today is that she, about maybe a few years ago, started her own brand of CBD products called ICARIA or ICARIA. And she's got products for humans, and she has also a product line of that for animals, which is super awesome. So she's going to join us any moment. I don't know Nadya super well, but the time we have spent together in those previous years, we were really connected and just had a nice kindred spirit. And I thought in the candidness and sincerity of Getting Juicy, she would not only be a great guest to talk to, but also to learn about what she's doing through the pandemic and before that in growing her brand, but also successfully growing a community of people that have now sustained each other through her entrepreneurialism and her pioneer quality, which is super awesome. So she will be joining us any minute, but now you have a brief kind of idea.
I'm so stoked. Well, because I'm doing a little bit of research on Nadya. She really is a huge advocate for women's issues, and her products seem to really be geared towards maybe just marketing perspectives towards women's, but I do want to have a conversation with her. I mean, CBD oil has a million amazing properties for all people. So that's but she seems to have this niche that she's marketed herself to. The other thing I'm curious about, because it looks like she has she's one of these, like our previous guest, which will air that episode soon, like Jen. Oh, and here she is.
Nadya! Hi!
Hi!
Can you hear us okay?
I know it's been so long.
It's been so long.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You know what? But you are ageless, my friend. Like, you haven't aged at all. You've gotten younger.
Younger than the last time I saw you.
Do I really? Maybe I'm just coming into my manhood.
It says clean. No, it's you're more clean shaven. Like, because usually you have more of a scruff. Like, you're really. Right.
Yeah. My bush takes a few weeks to grow, and then I get lazy, and then I, trim the yards a little bit. Yeah. Love it.
I gotta put a guy and I don't have to shave my face.
No, I know. I'm very jealous. I'm very jealous of the females or the lighter haired males that don't have to shave. I would love to not have a beard, personally.
Okay, now I'm like, anyway.
I mean, I do have a mustache too, but I'm like, whatever.
Now, Nadya, can you hear us? Because I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
I can.
Okay, good. And it's slightly delayed, but I think sometimes it takes a bit to sync up, so hopefully.
Okay, let me know. I can potentially call back in. Maybe that will work better.
I think it should be fine. I think it should be fine.
Yeah. Should be fine. Yeah. So Nadya, I was just, first of all, it's so nice to see you from the screen, because we actually haven't been in touch for quite a while, but we've kept in touch virtually and with what we're up to. And I just want to thank you so much for being interested and willing to come on to Getting Juicy, as we are a new podcast and we're growing our discussions and our communities. But also, you and I have always had an incredible bond and connection from the get-go, really like-minded, really kind, kindred spirits, and Rachel is very similar. So I thought it'd be so great for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, anything you want to share. And I gave our listeners an update once they do hear this, kind of how I met you and how you evolved in growing a community in Vancouver and then your transition into being the creator of your own brand and your own product that is doing fantastically well, which I'm not surprised about.
And like multiple companies I see. So I was just before you popped on, I was just about to say that Nadya seems to be one of those like really, I think there's like a hashtag now for this boss bitch, like entrepreneur. And that's a thing, like boss bitch is like this big hashtag now, but you seem to be like, very inspiring for women and for entrepreneurs. So I'm
appreciate it.
Pretty stoked to talk to you. And we might as well just get right into it with your CBD oil company, because this is something that I have a million questions about, but I'm going to try to condense it. But maybe give us a little spiel or a little smattering of what that company
before I do that, thank you. So nice to see you here. I know I'm it's hard to like, where am I looking? I'm making
yeah, totally. It's so weird.
So nice to see you. It feels like I saw you yesterday, honestly. Like
it feels the same way to me. Right? I know, that's why I thought it'd be perfect.
The time's just like this weird thing that just like yesterday can feel like a year ago, and then years ago can feel like yesterday.
I know.
It's odd.
Time is an obstruction.
It is. It's not exactly. It's like, it's not linear. That's for sure. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. And honestly, thank you for nice words. I'm not feeling good about myself today. So,
oh my,
this is so needed.
You need to feel a girl and a gay to lift you up.
Right? Well,
but
I'm happy you're laughing and you're smiling. That's all that matters, I think.
Thank you, guys. I just, like, I feel like that's the thing it's really hard to show, and it's really hard to see people's journeys and how much struggle goes into a person's journey, like no matter where a person is, like no matter where they are, no matter how old they are, no matter what's happening in their life, I always feel like there's, I always blamed it on hormonal changes, but like right now I have no excuse.
Me
like,
too, my friends.
I'll keep my mouth shut on that one.
Still do that, but anyway.
I'm sorry, guys, that you just have less of an excuse. I mean, you do too, but just less so.
Totally.
We're just more like...
There's way more chemical imbalances in the female form, for sure.
Totally. Mm-hmm. So, anyways. So I started this CBD. Wait, what was the question?
Just give us a little understanding of, for those that don't know you, how we can connect with you, and then we can go off of that. But just like a little summary of maybe how you came to Vancouver and how you created stuff and where you ended up like to now, kind of like a little Cole's Notes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start with I'm an immigrant.
Yay!
Like,
we got an immigrant, we got a gay, we got a Jew, we got
the whole picture. Do the horror, lift the chair.
All the minorities, check.
Yay! Well,
we are an inclusive podcast, everybody.
Did you know that today is Indigenous Day? I just saw it on Instagram. Anyway,
no, there's
I was just wanted to acknowledge. I was like,
no, but it's good. Acknowledging is good.
Thank you.
But you're right though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know. I'm like, why are we not celebrating it?
Totally, it's tough. It's like National Sibling Day, National Coming Out Day, National Boyfriend, National Girlfriend. It's like every day has a hashtag
day?
national.
It was like a National Smile Day last week, and the next day it was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's just like I can't keep track. Sorry.
Not to say that
no, I accidentally saw it. I'm not even sure how legit this is. Like I didn't. Okay, so on that note, I was watching yesterday this new show on Crave, and they were talking how everything is basically fake, like fake news everywhere, and I don't know what to believe anymore online. But anyways, back to my story.
You can believe us.
So basically finance background, and then went into nutrition, and then kind of just didn't know what to do with my life. And then worked as a nutritionist for a while. I didn't know, I still don't think I know what I'm doing with my life, but worked as a nutritionist for a while, and then just realized that there's no community for wellness entrepreneurs. And that's how the community of entrepreneurs in health and fitness was born. That's how I met you here. And as that progressed, I realized that I'm not like you. Everybody has their own talents, I think. And I think my talent is to start things. I'm like a starter. Like I like to move on and start, and I'm not really good at continuing things. So like I almost need to start things and then to pass it along to somebody to run it. So ended up my best friend ended up taking over, who's an amazing person, gets like so organized, so like inspiring. Her name is Ariana. I think you might have met her too.
Yeah, we connected. I want to have her on our show.
She's my best friend.
Yeah.
She just took over. She's amazing. Like she's just so amazing. And then I was teaching at nutrition school. Anyways, just burning myself out a little bit, slightly, as usual, which I tend to do. And then discovered CBD oil. And I, as a person who like never was really into cannabis or anything related to altering your mind other than like alcohol, which I'm Russian. I mean, it's
Vodka, yes.
Let alone drink a pandemic.
And I tried it, and I was just shocked at how well it worked. As a nutritionist, I just like never tried anything that actually helped with my anxiety, and that's kind of the idea. Was born to start a CBD oil company. Had no idea that I was starting an e-commerce store. Kind of like, I think I just like do things and then I think about it. So that was one of those things. But I did it, and then I was like, oh wow, I'm running an e-commerce store now. So. And then, so I've been doing that for 2.5 years, and Natalie, who you probably spoke with online, she runs day-to-day tasks, like really helps me, otherwise I'd go crazy. And but it's still my passion. I still like absolutely love my CBDs. Like you can probably see on the background, there's like all these bottles.
Yes, I can.
Constantly like taking them.
No, that's awesome.
So I'm my own product's biggest fan. So it's really easy to like work in a company that I personally just like love, you know, like it's so it doesn't feel, it just feels very authentic and like very aligned. And then a year ago, my cousin from Russia, sorry guys, this is a lot of information. My cousin from Russia and I were best friends. It's just like throw off all the information. We've been friends for 30 years. Obviously, we're, you know, cousins. And we decided to, I tried period underwear for the first time. And I told her about it. And I was just like shocked at how well it worked. And have you tried it, Rachel?
Okay.
I've totally tried it.
Yeah, Hiiro's tried it. Hiiro's totally tried it.
Why not? Mm-hmm.
His voice just went up like 2 octaves. I'm a huge skeptic of period panties. Like I'm one of those massive skeptics. And maybe we'll have a conversation about that business. Well, we can talk about it now. Why not?
Talk about it now. It's all related.
It's all related, but
for sure.
No, and I was very intrigued by your CBD company, and then I clicked more. I was like, she's got another company. Oh my God. And they're period panties. And
I didn't even know that. You did your research, Rachel.
Yeah, I did. Hiiro, I'm not one that wakes up 15 minutes before we record, like he did admit, but not today. Anyway, I
like how out of the 2 companies you're skeptical about period underwear more. I'm more ready for like CBD questions, but with period underwear, I'm like, oh.
Dot.
I know, and I don't want to. I don't want to.
No, please. Yeah, I want skepticism because
okay.
It's hard to like even like position sometimes when you don't know what people are skeptical about. Yeah. Because
okay. So first of all, I was like, that sounds disgusting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just.
That's so funny to say that.
And you know probably why. Maybe I'm a woman who has used tampons since I was like a teenager, and I always, and you know, and this is something maybe I need to get over or get through. I always felt disgusting sitting in blood, like ever sitting in blood. Like, and that's just,
do you sleep in tampons?
I do, but I get up, I like set an alarm. So I actually get up like once in the middle of the night. So I don't sleep through the night wearing it.
So I'm toxic shock syndrome, right?
Yeah. So I'm careful with that. Like, I don't wear it for more than like 5 or maybe 6 hours max.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But that's just me. Right. And so again, when I think about, but with that being said, my first reaction was like, what? This is strange. Right. But I also think, and sorry, I was just going to say, I think that there's a stigma maybe surrounding women's reproductive systems and surrounding menstruation and surrounding the idea that blood and those things are gross. And right? Like there's a whole psychology around that might be innate, like something that's deeper inside of me, that maybe when I was a little girl, or, you know, like you just don't want to be messy. You don't want, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely, there might be a part of it, but like I personally hate pads as well. Yeah. Because they're gross. Like they're gross. They're like sticky and like plasticky. They're gross. I hate pads. My cousin hates tampons, which I don't understand. Which I hate pads. So it was like a very good, actually, we had a lot of deep conversations about what exactly we hate about each, because we clearly disagreed. And period underwear is basically not, targets both of those issues, because it doesn't, like, you don't see it, you don't smell it, you don't you don't feel it. Like, I honestly don't even know that I have my period when I'm wearing it. And I'm just like, and then at the end, I'm like, wait, did my period end? Wait, when did I have my first day? Should I calculate when it's supposed to end? Because I don't know whether it ended or not.
Wow.
Because it's a white pad. So, and then with tampons, you see, but with that, I'm like, oh, wait, I kind of forgot. I need to calculate my days now.
So what's the technology then behind it that makes it not like
honestly, it's so mind-blowing, because we actually, sorry, Hiiro, it's just a lot of
no, keep it coming. I want to listen. I'm just observing. I'm just learning.
We flip-flop with episodes. Like, there'll be more men's health issues and more women's health. Like, that's why it's great, and we get to learn, right?
Yeah. Don't feel bad at all, please. Yeah, just be candid. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We only bleed on average around 40 to 60 milliliters of liquid per menstruation, sometimes up to 80 milliliters. So just giving perspective, 2 tablespoons is 30 milliliters. 4 tablespoons of liquid is 60 milliliters. So if a woman bleeds in 4, 5, 6 days, 60 milliliters, that's actually really easy to absorb. Like, it's actually not.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Like,
so the underwear doesn't even have to be like, because when I received mine for the first time, like when I bought another brand's one for the first time, that's what I was shocked with. I'm like, it's so thin. I'm like, how can it possibly absorb anything? We're so used to these like thick, gross pads. Yeah. And then when I tried, well for me, and everybody has such a different flow, so I will not state that like it works as a primary period care for everyone. It doesn't. That being said, I've now given it to a bunch of my girlfriends, obviously, and so far everybody has been using it as their primary, or maybe on one day as a backup, like let's say a tampon, and then as a backup, and then the rest of the days they've been using it as primary. But again, maybe my girlfriends just have like flows. So but again, you don't know what kind of flow you have until you try it, right? Because we've ever measured how much liquid is coming out of us. But that being said, there are a lot of women that do have like heavy flows, and then they do, go through products, which is also period underwear is good for as a backup. Let's say if you're wearing a tampon, and then as a backup, you can wear period underwear.
Yes. So that's so interesting. So with that being said, because I mean, obviously it's way less waste, right? So that's a number one. I mean, better for the environment. So that's a huge thing. And so I'm assuming like they probably last like a good amount of time. Like, you just throw them in the washing machine and then
You just throw
am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it on a delicate, and then just flat dry them, just because heat kind of just because there's like an antibacterial wash on them, so that's why they don't smell. Like that's why you like they, and then so heat can destroy that. So you don't want to like wash it on hot or dry it on hot, and then you just flat dry them, and that's it. And they dry within like I don't know. I hand wash them too, but you guys froze. Did I?
I would try. You know, I think I would try just because I do get. I get tired of like setting an alarm halfway through the night to get up. Like I don't want to get up in the middle of the night if I don't have to. I've been doing that for so many years. Like, so yeah, I would, yeah.
Honestly, I highly recommend. I mean, you have nothing to lose. But everything to gain, if that makes sense. And it's one of those products that just like worst case scenario, especially we're at home right now, well, most of us, worst case scenario, you know, like you're like, okay, well, I can't wear it on my first day or like on my heavy day, like, you know, like what can happen. So
right. And this company is called
Honest Wear. Yeah.
Honest Wear. Okay.
Honest Wear. So I wanted to create a more of a, it's not just period underwear, like it's right now just period underwear, but I wanted to create more of like period products. Just in general, having like, you know, we're also developing a cup, as well as we're working on just developing like care around PMS and periods, like whether it's heating pads and things like that, that are just I think I'm gonna talking about more open and honest conversations. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. I'm like, I want to create a more honest brand, but like honest, like in a sense of like not these like, oh, and then it's our period and we take a bubbly baths. No, like we're in our beds eating chocolate and watching Netflix for 12 hours.
Yeah,
like, and,
totally.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Or chowing down on like, you know, ibuprofen or something like that, and then rolling up in the fetal position. Like, I mean, yeah, and it depends on the month too. But that's actually, I think, a fairly good segue into your CBD oil company, because I know that's another tool, I guess, to use for, you know, the menstruation and all those kinds of things. I mean, amongst a million other amazing qualities that CBD has. But yeah, so please tell us about your CBD oil company.
So with CBD, it started as just oils, so just sublingual, and I will, you know, until this day, I'm like, I believe in oils under the tongue. You keep it there. And what CBD does, it works with your endocannabinoid system to balance it out. So that's why it has such a wide range of effects. Endocannabinoid system is in our bodies basically just receptors and cannabinoids, which are just chemical messengers. And it's there in our body to keep us at balance, whatever that means. So that's why there's so many effects of CBD. It doesn't really, all it does, it kind of like works with our body. So it's anti-inflammatory. It has a very strong anti-inflammatory properties. That's why it's so powerful for pain management. And then it also has a very good adaptogenic properties. So it like helps our cortisol balance out. And that's why it's really good for stress and anxiety, as well as for sleep. And then it also helps with serotonin. It kind of works a little bit similar to the antidepressant medications with the serotonin. And so like it just helps boost our mood sometimes too. I mean, I don't really necessarily like take CBD and I'm like, wow, I'm in a good mood right now. It's more like I take CBD and I'm like, okay, I'm not in a shitty mood anymore.
Right.
But that's also
it's a neutralizer, right? Like it's not necessarily an upper, but it's definitely not a downer. It's a neutralizer, right? It balances your state.
I love that word, neutralizer. I'm gonna steal that.
I love the word. I love that word too, in many aspects.
You're welcome.
Yes, I love it.
Neutralizer.
Getting neutral. Just not new.
No. Getting neutral. I love that.
Nadya, like I think that maybe a misconception for some people that don't know about CBD is they still think that maybe there's a hallucinogenic property to it, which I know there isn't. I mean, you can get CBD oil that has like, you know, traces of THC and stuff like that. But in reality, CBD itself is not a hallucinogenic, right?
No, not at all. There's absolutely, it's only THC that's hallucinogenic. So that's the only thing that can get you high. THC, CBD has nothing. It's kind of the same idea because there's a completely two different chemical compounds. They're coming from the same plant. It's same idea as like, I don't know, and a carrot or like a sweet potato would have a vitamin A and vitamin C, but they're unrelated to each other, but they will be in the same plant. Kind of CBD and THC are the same. They can work in synergy, like one can make another stronger, or they can work against each other, one can make another weaker. So it's a very complex relationship that they're studying and they still don't fully understand. So you will see on the market there's so many different options, like CBD to THC 1-to-1 ratio, 1-to-8 ratio, or 1-to-20 ratio. But I personally don't work with THC just because it is a hallucinogenic compound and psychoactive. Sorry, not hallucinogenic, psychoactive. And I personally just don't use it, so I can't really recommend it to anybody. I'm like, everybody makes fun of me. They're like, Nadya, you're the only person that works in cannabis that doesn't use cannabis. I'm like, I know. Right. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that, and I have nothing against it. People everybody has different coping mechanism skills, and I just never did it as a teenager, and I think as a 30-year-old getting into weed for the first time, it's just a weird experience.
Well, what I want to ask you is, again, because Rachel definitely has more of an insight as someone that benefits from using CBD and other forms of neutralizing
what are you about
products.
To say?
No, because I have no. I'm just gonna
and I'm not, and I don't, and
laundry.
And I actually don't smoke pot either because.
No, you don't.
No, and I did a handful of times, but I found. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you here. I just want to set the record straight for myself. I find that it aggravates my anxiety, like to the freaking upteenth, like explosive anxiety. Anyway. Yeah,
Rachel is not a bud tender.
No.
But for me, I'm very straight edge. Like I'm probably one of the most straight edged people that I know personally, as far as what the term means. So when I look in stores, forget if it's Whole Foods or if it's other places that are more holistic, medicines, like Banyan Books is a good example. And you see a lot of things that say CBD oil, but of course you would know, but if I was to come and ask you about what is ICARIA CBD product, how does that differentiate from all the other CBD products out there that would be similar? Because we think about essential oils like at Sage Wellness or at Essence, and then we look at doTERRA and forget about the business model, but the product and the grade of the oil is very different. So how does your brand both differentiate, but what inspired you to create that product, and how is it different from what others might be using, even if it's a very highly reputable brand that says it does the same thing? Because I don't know any of that.
Yeah, so no, that's actually a really good question. And I think there's a couple of things. So first, the brand was created when there was not many brands for women. And that was a conversation that I wanted to have with women because there were so many cannabis brands for men. And I felt like nobody was talking to women who don't want to get high and who just want to deal with their anxiety and their stress levels, right?
So
that was kind of like that's why when you look at the brand, there's not much CBD anywhere or cannabis or anything. It's literally just a very clean cut brand that women can have in their bags and their purses with them anywhere, and in the desk in the office, and not feel anything weird about it. So that was kind of the concept behind it. And we focus a lot on education, and we also focus on creating a safe place for women. So education is obviously one part of it, but also just we also have a Facebook group where we created a community of women that can ask us questions me and Natalie always work really hard at responding to everyone, getting on the phone with people when they need some support. Just because when people don't use cannabis and they're trying CBD for the first time, it can be really overwhelming, and I've been there. Like, I had a huge stigma around it, and I didn't want to take it for years because I was like, I don't weed, I don't want to take it. So like, I'm a very I'm very understanding when people message me and say, I have anxiety and I'm anxious about taking CBD oil. Like,
they tend to go together, right?
Totally. So so that's kind of like the idea behind the brand, and to create a safe space for women. And another thing is, we try to make it as as tested or as effective as we can. So like, all of our oils are high concentration. So that's why a lot of times you can see cheaper oils, but it's the same idea as buying, I don't know, like vitamin C. Let's say you buy 100 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams per capsule, whatever.
That makes sense.
So concentration really matters too, and all of our products are concentrated, even the lightest one, because that's what works. Like, the concentration works, and people buy low concentration product, they try it and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work just because they didn't take enough. And I never wanted that experience. So and then we also third-party test all our oils, and we have a lot of reviews. And the reason why we keep collecting reviews is because we want for women to see that there are other women that are taking it and it's safe. There's no side effects. Nobody got high. Nobody got experienced anything weird. We also have a 30-day return. 30-day money back guarantee.
Right.
And the reason why we do that is, the reason why we do that is because some women honestly are so anxious to take it, and that has happened a couple of times, that they take it and they're like, oh, it didn't work for me, and then we refund them, and then they message us a couple of months later being like, actually, only because you refunded us or refunded me, I was able to continue taking the CBD, and now it actually really worked, and I'm ordering a second bottle. And that has happened a couple of times.
Wow.
There you go, right? It's fascinating.
Because it's anxiety provoking to take a product that you don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect, and you're like, oh, it didn't work. It's expensive. Like, it's a lot. So we're just trying to be supportive. Anyways.
Well, no, and that's, I think you almost answered my question a few times, but because I've only really tried it a couple times, and I feel like it wasn't a high enough concentration. Like, now that I'm listening to what you're saying, number one. Number two, I was also very anxious to take it because anxiety for me is the fear of the unknown, which pretty much what is anxiety. So when you're taking something you don't know how you're going to necessarily react to, even though people tell you it's fine, there's still anxiety behind it. So what I was doing is I took a capsule and I'd like open the capsule and then dump out some of it wasn't oil. It was like whatever's in the capsule. So I would dump out a little bit and then I put it on my tongue, and then the next day I'd like take a little bit more. So, just slowly introduce myself to it. But I think the point also is that it's not something that works like that. Am I correct? Or can it work really quickly? I heard that it was something that you had to take for a little bit before you actually notice any effects.
It definitely can. That's the magical part about it, is that it works. It can work right away. It really depends on what we're taking it for, right? Taking it for sleep, sometimes I find it takes a couple of days, just because sometimes the sleep cannot be like balanced right away. Versus I find with like stress, if I take it, it works right away within 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow.
So it depends. You kind of almost have to figure out your own flow with it, because it brings you to balance, which means different things in a different day and for a different person. So like when people sometimes say they're like, oh, it makes me sleepy, I'm like, yes, because you probably it's probably 5 p.m. and you probably are super tired and you're like, no, I need to go to the gym. And you're like, I'm going to take CBD and feel better. And then, but you're going against what your body is actually feeling.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a matter of like really figuring out what your body needs and wants, and like CBD will work with that.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, because it really gives a lot of insight to those of us that might be less familiar with it, or those that are familiar with it but maybe don't know that side of CBD, and how that actually is a huge asset to supporting our overall well-being.
Yeah. And also, Rachel, by the way, I also took, for the first time when I was first time trying, I took 1 drop. I was like,
love it.
I'm with you on that.
That's me in a nutshell. Like, but I think that the fact that I did that a few years ago, I think that trying it again, I probably would put 2 feet in now, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense.
But anyway, so yeah, I do have another, I feel like I'm the one that's asking you all these questions, but I was excited.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
But my question has to do with maybe mixing Western medicine, like an antidepressant, with CBD oil. Is that okay? Is that like, because, you know, I'll be quite candid. I do take an antidepressant. Actually, I don't think I've ever really expressed that out in the open. I don't know why there's such a stigma around expressing it, but I will express it. I've taken a very low dose of something on and off for quite a long time. And I've, you know, tried to bring other things into the realm of my toolbox, but how does it does it counteract with those kind of medications? Is it something, just curious on your thoughts with utilizing both types of, Yeah,
for sure. First of all, thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like it's very important to have that conversation, because people don't share. Like, there is stigma.
No, there is. Yeah.
There's something they're taking it, but there isn't. Like, everybody has their own like ways to deal with this world.
Well, yeah, and just quickly, I've been on medication my whole life. Like, as early as 5 or 6 or 7 years old, I've been on any kind of combination of a cocktail, and now my cocktail is just 1 medication and 20 milligrams. It's not even that much, but as you're pointing out, see, we match. But it's important to understand that medication is not a negative thing, and not to steer this way, but this is actually really neat. With medication and mood stabilizers or mood balancers and medication, and from Western sides, I faced a lot of discrimination from the odd couple of men in the past, and they never stuck around, obviously. There were a couple men that I actually would go on dates with, and mental health would come up. And when they found out I took medication, they actually were very judgmental toward me, and they said I should get off of that medication, and that why would I do that? It screws you up. Like, they were very, very critical as like anti-medication. And so I'm not going to get into their reasoning for what that was, but it did actually inspire me to potentially try and taper off of my medication, which I did, and use Eastern medicine, and tried to use that with the help of my naturopath, who had some Western medicine background, and it did not go well. And so I went back on, and I kind of took that as a humble piece of pie to realize it is okay for me to rely on some small dosage. Because prior, I was on 40 milligrams of the medicine I take right now. I was also on 30 milligrams of an additional medication that I took in high school, which was meant to be a short-term, because it's meant to be a short-term medication, but I ended up doing it long-term. So you got to look at the victories of, I was on 70 milligrams of combined medication and supplements, and now I'm on 1 medication of 20 milligrams, and that's stabilized since 2013. So you got to look at these victories. And so as we continue into your response to Rachel's question, I think it's interesting to address the balances of Western and Eastern. And I'm sure you've gone through a lot in your own life, and being in natural medicine, and then being a creator of a product that is CBD. I would love for you to continue your response to that, but I just want to add that in as a little aside.
Well, and the crazy thing is that, and we will have another podcast episode about this, listeners that are listening, because Hiiro, you just touched a huge nerve, because I had this same situation happen to me about being with somebody who also was very anti-medication and prompted me to taper off. We won't get into that story, but it's the same. It's the same, like people's judgments. Anyway, very, very interesting topic. But Nadya, please.
And it's a good point. And I think there's such an extreme, like there's such extreme cases where people are on, and not just mental health, just in general, like on a tons of meds, never question their doctor, never question why they're doing this. I've seen it in my own family, you know, like, why are you taking this? I don't know. My doctor told me to take. I'm like, you don't even know what you're taking it for. Like, you know, there's like such extreme, like, okay, these are the pills. And then there's like, no way, like pills are evil. Like there's no way to, like, you know, medicine is evil. So, modern medicine. So, and I feel like, you know, in reality, we should all like just like balance out a little bit and come in the middle. Because there is a time and a place for modern medicine, 100%. There is, you know, genius people working, and there's a time and a place. And yeah, so going back to CBD, with CBD, it's and by the way, I'm sorry that you both had those experiences. Like it's unfair that you have to go through that. And, yeah,
I'm still with him. No, just kidding.
Well, then even more so.
Oh God, was I joking? Was I not joking? Anyway, topic for another conversation.
Continue, Nadya. Continue.
Yeah, so with CBD, it's you have to talk to your doctor because it does interact with certain pharmaceutical medications the same way as grapefruit juice does.
Yep.
So it makes them stronger. It's the same liver enzyme that metabolizes grapefruit juice and a lot of pharmaceutical drugs and CBD.
Yeah.
And so if you clearly know that's, you know, yours interacts with grapefruit juice. I feel like some people
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a very common.
It's a very common thing. It's a 50-50 people know, 50 people don't know.
Yeah.
It does not mean that your medication doesn't interact with it. It just sometimes the doctor didn't tell you that it interacts with it. So best thing to do is talk to your doctor. CBD makes the medication stronger. So if a person is not taking anything that day, let's say no medications that day, and they take CBD, like there's nothing in your system, fine. However, if a person, let's say, is taking like blood thinners and they're taking CBD, that can be a little dangerous, you know, because you can too much or something like that, you know, like there's cases where we don't want to mess with it. And I always say sorry, that was my cough. Just speak to your doctor. My cat was just like, why did you wake me up? Your doctor.
Okay, so the lesson is that even though it's natural, it still, you know, affects into something to your body, and that you'd want to talk to your doctor first. That's great advice, because
it's like a game of Risk. You know, your countries might be allied to each other, but they also affect each other, and you've got to be careful not to cross those borders when it's not appropriate.
Great, Hiiro. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, I just think I think that no matter what, I think that we should question anything we put in our body, no matter if it's natural or if it's not natural, if it's synthetic, if it's not synthetic. Oh God, Hiiro. Yes. Sorry, Nadya. He's got sexual innuendos.
Part of being a gay man. It's never ending.
It could be a part of being a very horny woman too, but anyway.
It could be about people in general. But
just people in general, but yes.
I love that.
I love it. I love it. I've lost my train of thought after that. Goodness.
Putting natural things in her body.
Yes, exactly. So I guess, my point is that, when you go to put anything in your body, you know, like when I first started taking medication many years ago, my doctor was actually pretty awesome. Like it was actually the last thing she wanted me to do for myself. So we tried everything else. It was the last resort, and that's not normal for a doctor. I shouldn't say that, but that's not typical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typically
It's
people
true.
are used to having doctors just having a quick fix Band-Aid. Okay, here's the prescription, off you go. I mean, I think things are changing these days as we're having more conversations about this, which is great. But I was lucky. Like this was 17 years ago, and even 17 years ago, that's surprising, right? So with that being said, like I was very skeptical to take something, but you know what, for me, I know myself, I know I need it, at least now, right now, you know, when I do other little things too. And I, like we were talking, I take from holistic sides, but I take from Western medicine as well. Yeah. But when it comes to being a yoga teacher, and Hiiro as well, and Nadya, you're in the health and wellness realm, like do you find, I mean, if it's hard to talk about Western medicine without being scrutinized or targeted by, right? And that's kind of what we were talking about briefly before too, with relationship experiences. But
totally. And it's fun. I actually teach at nutrition school, and I was teaching fundamentals of nutrition, which is the first course. And so I was like the first teacher in their experience of the Institute of Holistic Nutrition. And sorry, I'm not sure if I'm cutting off.
Slightly, but you didn't cut better. No, you're just frozen in a really, you're beautiful anyway, but you're frozen in a very interesting, oh wait, there you are.
You're good. You look gorgeous, by the way.
You're frozen again, but
awesome freeze.
You still look beautiful. I could hear you. You froze briefly, but
well, duh, it's Nadya. She's like,
I know.
Porcelain.
Okay. You have the floor.
Oh my god, my skin. Oh my god, thank you so much for saying it. I'm like, this makeup looks weird on me, but no, I've been having, and I think it's I think I've established it's a mask acne. I don't know if you guys know about that.
No,
mask.
But
I can picture. Yeah. I can
terrible,
get that.
I wear makeup, but I've been dealing with a lot of.
I've never had worse acne in my entire life as I've had it in the last month.
Okay.
But I'm like, honestly, like I've just never had like I've never had pussier, worse scarring, worse acne that I've had in the last 4 or 5 months. Thank God I have a boyfriend who loves me, because I feel like I wouldn't be able to date. I feel like I wouldn't be able to go on dates.
I would love a boyfriend.
But like I'm like much more compassionate to people that struggle with skin issues, because it's honestly so difficult, because it's like the first thing that you see. And that was definitely had to did a lot of self-esteem work, but not the point. So I was teaching at nutrition school and being in nutrition space and talking about pharmaceuticals, and I 100% agree. There's so much stigma, and there's also so much people that are in an alternative wellness a lot of times had bad experiences with modern medicine, you know. I had a roommate who was a doctor. I had my stepdad was a doctor. Like I had doctors in my, you know, very close proximity, and I've seen how they work, and the way our medical system is made and the way they are put to work is absolutely inhumane. And it's absolutely inhumane. Their hours, the pressure, the demands. So as much as like, there are bad doctors, like there are bad nutritionists, and there are bad CBD company owners, and there are bad human beings in general, you know, that like aren't professional and aren't doing the best, and but then at the same time most of doctors actually care, and they just unfortunately don't have the tools to help, because they have 7 minutes with you, and it's the system of the doctors.
Right. Yeah. But you teach about that, you said.
I'm a very big, like, let's not hate on the doctors, because it's very important.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
I think it's important as well, because when it comes to doctors, and they have a specialty, they have a background that they know that could be in their mind true. But I think what we kind of already talked about, that I find some people can get so attached to a way of looking at something that it eliminates their ability to be receptive to other people's ways of thinking or feeling. And if you're dealing with a client or a patient, part of that is really being an active listener and not just putting your own beliefs or ideologies down their brain or their throat. And then therefore we run into that all the time. So having that ability to kind of be like, okay, this is what my background is, but I'm familiar with that. I mean, I look at it in the same way someone is a culinary arts professional. They are a chef, but they're not a pastry chef. And so you can have people that are either or, right? And so it doesn't mean that they have lack of knowledge or comfort in both sides, but they're both correlated. So Western medicine versus Eastern medicine, you can look at it the same way. Or someone that might be like an Ashtanga yoga teacher or a Bikram yoga teacher, and they only have that way of thinking and that's all they know. And you have someone like me that teaches restorative and yin and therapeutic yoga and not based on the physical body only, and then there's a clash, but yet they both correlate. You have to have a rounded spectrum regardless of you specializing in one medicine or not if you want to be able to excel in your position, in your role as an educator, right? I'm sure you have come up across that as well yourself, Nadya.
Totally, and I have you said it very well. Totally agree.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, for sure. I think like
I'm smart.
You're smart. You're SMRT. Sometimes. I don't know what that movement was, but sure. Okay, go ahead.
Continue.
Anyway. I mean, like there's actually, what do you think about government sanctioned CBD products in the government stores? Because now we've got, all the marijuana, the BC cannabis stores, and
right.
She's taking a big breath in. I don't know what that reaction is going to be, but yeah, whew. But there's so many things coming down the pipeline. Like, I mean, now I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to this world, but I believe they're talking about shrooms too, like mushrooms potentially being legal. I don't know if you heard anything about this, but see, and that's a whole other level, and like microdosing, and like that's a huge, right? And I believe that it has amazing healing properties, and I've heard phenomenal stories. I don't really know what my question is. It's more just a topic of conversation about.
Yeah, it's an observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way they're legalized in Canada, unfortunately, hasn't been very welcoming to people. They're more, honestly, the way they've done it has been very inefficient. I don't know how to say it, but they're definitely, it's going to be a journey. It's going to be still like a 10. Somebody said at the beginning, they were like, well, it's going to be, a 10 to 15-year journey of actually legalizing, making it all kind of within the legal market. And now I can see why. Wow. It's really difficult to legalize something that was illegal for so many years, and I understand it's complicated. So as long as we're all just patient and it's all going to get there, it's just a matter of kind of time. When it comes to shrooms and psilocybin, have you guys ever tried microdosing? I'm not sure if we're allowed to say that.
You can totally say whatever.
I don't know. I don't think there's anything usually we swear we do. I don't know. No one's taken an episode down yet. So
no, and we're here to be leaders. We're here to be setters in dialogue that people don't talk about.
That's a good point, though. So, I don't really know. I mean, that's a very good point, because I think we're on an American platform, though, Buzzsprout.
There is, mushrooms are legal now in Oregon, I think.
That makes sense.
Okay, we'll just go with that. So
yeah, I think I'm pretty sure. But anyways, it's honestly has been, I've researched it heavily a year ago, and how LSD just sounds like such a drug, and psilocybin also sounds pretty bad, but LSD just sounds worse for some reason. But I was researching how all these tech entrepreneurs Steve Jobs and all of them are microdosing on LSD. And I'm okay, I'm not taking LSD. But it was getting trendy to try microdosing for psilocybin, which is the mushroom. Yeah. And I did try it, and I do still do it. It's honestly the coolest thing ever. Like, it's not something, it's kind of like, it's same as CBD, it's non-addictive. And when people ask me, what does it mean, non-addictive? I'm like, it's, when you almost have to force yourself to take something.
Right.
That's what non-addictive means. It's not
That's
like coffee where you're like, oh, yay, a coffee. I get to have coffee. It's more of like, it's more like, okay, well, I guess I'm feeling like shit, I should take some CBD oil, or like I'm so anxious that I should go and take some CBD oil. With psilocybin, with microdosing, it's different. You just kind of take it as like a supplement. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot to take it. I'm supposed to take it today because that's my plan.
Really?
But it basically makes you more focused. It makes you more like in the flow. Like you just feel like you're more in tune with the world around you as well as with your brain. It just almost
it synchronizes.
Yeah. Have you tried mushrooms?
I've never tried shrooms because I thought, like, especially someone who has anxiety, and I think about pot, and then I think about shrooms, and I think about shrooms as like the next level above pot. And then what is the next level of pot would be like a crazy high. And even more anxiety. So why the fuck would I want to do that? And then someone I know loves shrooms and will do them, a lot of them periodically.
Yeah.
I won't say whom. And loves feeling that kind of somewhat out of control, yet in control because you're connected to the universe. It's a different sense of out of control, I've heard. But I guess with microdosing, do you feel like, do you get the hallucinations?
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
No, you don't feel anything. You just feel more focused and in tune. You just feel like almost more like, got this. It does sometimes bring out emotions. There's a standard dose of like 100 milligrams. So everybody has a different sensitivity. Some people, like when I first tried it, I definitely felt it, but not felt it in a way of like, I'm like, oh, I'm high, and not in that way. In that day, it just didn't feel like working. So when I tried microdosing, it just makes you feel more. So you were like, I really don't feel like working. It's a beautiful day outside. Peace out, work. I'm going home. And I just went and I enjoyed my life, and I was in an awesome mood, and I went around. So it just makes you feel more. But in the days when you're like, I feel like being productive, you were like, just become ultra productive.
So like CBD could be one of those things where if you want to really break up with somebody and you're really dreading doing that, you go, I'm going to drop some of that shit in my mouth and I'm going to break up with them with a smile. Or if you want to get a promotion at a job and you want to ask for a promotion, you get a raise, I'm going to drop some of that shit in my mouth a hell of a lot and ask for a raise, right? It's kind of like, it can enhance anything that you have apprehension, anticipation, anxiety, strain over, and just like, nope, I'm doing this. Let's go, bestie. And like it can be used for anything.
CBD, 100%. I wouldn't do that with microdosing because I feel like I'm more scared. With CBD, numb that feeling. Like it would not like numb it, but it would like decrease the anxiety.
Yes. Neutralize it.
Neutralize.
Yeah. Versus I find microdosing actually exaggerates it, which is if you were like productive mode, it exaggerates it, and then you just kill the day. You're just like, the most productive day of my life. But then if you're like in a bad mood and you're feeling like sitting in bed and crying, it might make you feel like sitting in bed and crying more. Versus CBD, whatever it is, it will like bring you into like more of a center.
So one thing I want to ask you, because we are nearing kind of the end of our time together, at least for this recording and this time together, I wanted to ask you about the fact that your oil is also for animals, correct?
Yes, we do have one for dogs and cats. Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
So animals have the same endocannabinoid system as we do. Dogs actually have a more extensive endocannabinoid system. So CBD acts on them more powerfully than even on humans. So people use CBD for, I've honestly heard the most freaking miraculous stories with CBD and dogs. It's to the point that I'm like, this is insane. Like some dogs start walking, some dogs start seeing. Like, it's just crazy.
Wow.
And
wow.
because it's so, because their anti-cannabinoid system is so, what's it called, strong. So, all over their body. So anyways, but people use it for anxiety. So like if a dog is very anxious, it can help them. It can help them with pain too. Like a lot of dogs, especially when they're aging, they're in pain. Yeah, so those are kind of like the most two common uses, I think: pain or like aging, and anxiety. Just like when the dog is, I mean, a lot of times the dog just needs energy, like to expend the energy when they're anxious.
Right.
Dogs are just so attached, right? They can't be away without you for a second. So not for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, this has been a very amazing conversation. Now we're going to get off and I'm going to try CBD. I'm going to do CBD. I'm going to wear my period panties while microdosing. I'm just kidding. You see Rachel's walking around like the host. She's wearing her period panties.
She's got her dropper.
She's got her CBD oil under the tongue. And I don't know.
And she's got her sport bottle with her microdosing, or however you microdose, because I have no idea how you microdose.
Actually,
a capsule. Oh my god, I feel like I just do a disclaimer. I don't do drugs, kids. I don't support drugs.
No, I feel like we understand that, but
I'm like, I don't get high. I'm against alcohol as well.
I'm fucking crazy enough. I joke around I'd have a reverse effect if I did any kind of mood altering or substance altering drugs. I'd be like, no.
Coffee's enough for me sometimes. Holy cow.
Oh my god, coffee's too much for me. So CBD is very mild. Like it's not, and microdosing is also very mild. And if you feel anything,
that's crazy. You know what? Maybe what we'll do, Nadya, maybe if Hiiro's into it, is the next time I do see Hiiro, which hopefully will be soon. I haven't seen you in so many months, but
bitch, you better.
We could do CBD oil together and film it and have a. I don't know.
Yes, we can have a Getting Neutral episode.
Getting Neutral, yeah.
Yeah, Jinx.
I don't think I said it at the same time, but anyway, exactly.
That'd be really cool. I would love that. Getting shrimmy.
Oh gosh, getting everything. Nadya, there's a last question that we've started to bestow upon our guests at the very end that's become semi-regular, but we might change the question at some point. First thing that comes to your mind, if you were a fruit juice, what would you be and why?
Kiwi.
Oh. We've had different answers every time.
I love this. How come?
You know, I like to be a little different.
And green.
Right. Black and green.
Sweet, different. I can't, it's sold.
Do you like kiwis as in from New Zealand kiwis?
I mean, I haven't had one, but
I haven't had one.
But I'm sure I like them.
Oh, they're such sweet people.
Yes.
Oh, you mean people?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Because they call in New Zealand, they call them kiwis, and you're like, anyways. Oh, that's great.
And then boys.
One day.
Kiwi. Is that a good answer?
That's a great answer. There's no wrong answer at all. You could say kumquat, and we'd be like, oh.
Okay.
Oh, God.
It's been such an incredible pleasure having you, Nadya.
Yes.
I'm sorry we haven't connected in real life for so long. Maybe that can be a catalyst to now from this podcast.
No, I'm really.
It'd be so great. And thank you for so much for being so candid and sincere. I knew that you'd be nothing less. And for educating us and whoever is tuning into this about everything that we talked about, because it's a huge topic that is always evolving and that is inviting people to further explore their neutrality and their mental health and their behavior. So I think this has been such a great blessing to have you.
Oh, yeah. And we'll put all the links. We'll make sure the links are all there for your websites, your businesses, those kinds of things, Instagram. So
we'll microdose the shit out of your brand.
Thank you, guys. But we're here to help on the journey. So even if you just have some questions, just reach out to us. Me and Adam.
Yeah. Nadya's as real as it gets. Please reach out to her if you have anything you want to ask her about what she does.
Love it. Thank you, Nadya, so much.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you.
Bye.